Hey everybody, Don G. Corleone here, and we are now back with part 3, which is these two shelves right here, because we've now done this whole shelf. Part 3 and 4 will be these two this top one, and part 4 will be this bottom one. So, let's get on with part 3. We all know, like, there's that one at the back. Oh, that's my theatrical Robocop DVD I still have. Alright, so, that being said, the first one is one from Value Village. I still haven't watched, but it's from Tim Burton. I need to watch it, so maybe I'll watch it this Christmas or something, because I think it's a Christmas film, or unless it's a normal film, tell me in the comments down below. But Edward Scissorhands. I've heard this is one of Johnny Depp's best films, and I've heard this is one of Tim Burton's most classic movies, so that's why I bought it, because I love Tim Burton, I love Johnny Depp. A hockey comedy that I still haven't seen yet. Goon. Still have not watched it. Just bought it, never watched it. The Lighthouse, one of my favorite films of 2019, and one of my favorite Robert Pattinson roles, and one of my favorite Willem Dafoe roles. I actually saw this in the theaters opening weekend, and I gotta say, like, this is probably Robert Eggers' best film. I will say, it's probably my favorite film for Robert Eggers. I do like Robert Eggers as a director, and I definitely do love the scene. I definitely do love Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe's performances in this movie. I think they both get really terrifying in this film. Like, I think they do an excellent job in this movie. One of my favorite films of 2019. And one of my favorite horror films of the 2010s. Pitch Perfect. Pitch Perfect, great comedy. Absolutely always loved this when it first came out. One of my favorite musical comedies of all time. The sequel, Pitch Perfect 2, not really big on. I did used to really like this film back when it first came out, but now every time I revisit this film, I'm like, nah, I just watched the first one. And I never bought Pitch Perfect 3 because I thought Pitch Perfect 3 was absolute crap. Yeah, so if I don't like a certain sequel from a certain franchise, I don't really try to buy it. Precious from 2009, one of the most depressing as fuck films of all time. This is definitely not a film I like to rewatch. This film is just way too hard for me to sit through. But I will admit, Monique does give a really great performance in this film. I will definitely can say that. Monique was awesome in this film. It definitely deserved her Oscar for this. 21 Bridges, saw this one time. It was alright, but it was not bad for what it was. Definitely a good performance though from Chadwick Boseman, and may he rest in peace. Art of Racing in the Rain. I definitely liked this movie. I saw this in the theaters when this came. Saw this in the theaters for my birthday. One of the few better dog films of today. Desperado, an absolute action classic. And definitely one of Antonio Banderas' best films. And definitely Robert Rodriguez's best masterpiece. I love Desperado. Knight's Tale. Saw this as a kid, but got this from a work friend. And was giving away a few DVDs. But I did see this movie, but I've only seen this movie once. So I don't really remember all that well, but I definitely know definitely does star Heath Ledger. I remember it being pretty decent, but I need to revisit it. I only own one of these, but Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, got this from a friend. I still need to buy Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure before I can get into these Bill and Ted rewatches. The Goonies, one of the best comedies of the 80s. I gotta love The Goonies. Can never go wrong with The Goonies, and definitely one of Richard Donner's best films. A film that basically launched a bunch of actresses' careers. Sean Astin, Ki Kwan, Josh Brolin. They're all fucking majors today. The Karate Kid, one of the best films of the 80s, one of the best martial arts films of all time, and definitely nothing else can be said more. I do not like the sequels to the remake, so I do not own the sequels to the remake on DVD. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I definitely saw this in the theaters. I definitely teared up watching this. And definitely a great film. Gulliver's Travels. One of Jack Black's worst films, but it's got to get reviewed on my channel someday. Scorpion King. Still haven't watched this yet. I know it's just kind of a spin-off of The Mummy. That's basically a spin-off of Dwayne Johnson's PS1 animated character. One of the cringiest parts of The Mummy Returns. Stardust, haven't watched it. The King's Speech, haven't watched it. Love and Other Drugs. I watched this. It was alright. Just not my cup of tea. I mean, watched it because I do like Hathaway and Jake Gyllenhaal's actors, but they're alright in that film. They do give some pretty decent performances, but the film's just not really nothing all that special. Wonka. This was actually quite a big surprise. I remember not being hyped for this movie, and I actually didn't when I saw it. And actually, it was decently much better than I expected. Not really great. I still like the Johnny Depp version more. Yeah, people will be shocked when I say that, but I still like the Johnny Depp version more. But this was actually pretty. This was actually pretty catchy music. Had some pretty catchy song numbers, and it was Timothy Chalamet actually did pretty good as Wonka. I'll admit that. And Timothy Chalamet now has quite a big career ahead of him. The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, of which I only like the first one. I have seen the sequels, and Prince casting was meh, and I did not like Voyage of John Turk, but I definitely loved the first one. First one was the best one. 127 Hours, another masterpiece from Danny Boyle, one of James Franco's best roles yet, and definitely one of the scariest non-horror films out there, one of the scariest survival films. Yeah. Be Cool, haven't watched it. Ugly Dolls. Well, I'll get the VHS. Well, the VHSs could come. Actually, you know what? No, they're two back. I'll just have to show them this one without the VHSs. But I don't have the other two on DVD. But Lion King 1.5. You know my thoughts on this one. I'm not really the biggest fan of this one. There's some things I do like about that film, but also the film does create a lot of plot holes for me. So, not the biggest fan of that movie. Got Open Water. Not really big on this one. Apparently the people do really like this film. People think this is one of the scariest shark films out there, but I watched it, and honestly, I just found this movie kind of boring. It didn't really feel all that scary to me. I've seen better shark films. Piranha, aka the 2010 remake, Piranha 3D, which I'm also not really the biggest fan of. To be fair, apparently this did get good reviews from people, but honestly, I just found nothing really. No, that's not true. I like some things about it. I like the beach massacre, but I'm not really a fan of anything else. And plus, the ending also is also the way this movie ends is really stupid as fuck. And I do not. Oh yeah, and where's Piranha? Where's Piranha Double D? Oh, short answer. I don't own it because it sucks ass. So I don't own it. Over the Hedge, one of DreamWorks' most underrated films. I'm surprised nobody talks about it that much. Wander, absolutely love this movie. Easily one of Jacob Tremblay's best performances, and yeah, definitely one of my favorite films of 2017. Got one of two 9/11 films I own. United 93. This film I like, but it's not one I revisit because of how extremely very realistic and depressing it is to sit through. But I still like it. Monsters vs. Aliens, one of my favorite DreamWorks films of all time, and almost everybody shits on this one. And almost everyone thinks it's one of their worst. Just why? This movie's fucking awesome. It's fucking great. You got the first two Ice Age films, Ice Age and Ice Age The Meltdown. I don't own Dawn of the Dinosaurs yet. I still need to buy Dawn of the Dinosaurs, but yeah, I definitely love these two. I do like Dawn of the Dinosaurs as well. And the rest and the other Ice Age films after 3 can suck it. So I don't own them. Alright, so I don't know what comes next or something, but I think that might be, oh well. Yeah, I think that might be it for that. So let's get on with the last pile for that shelf, shall we? Alright. You got the original Planet of the Apes, and since I see the box set right easier spot, I will get out the box set. You got the original Planet of the Apes, and you got the Planet of the Apes, the Blu-ray box sets, which these are the only Planet of the Apes films I love. So these are the only Planet of the Apes films I own. When it comes to the sequels of the original series, I like the second film. Not really a fan of the third one, and I don't like 4 or 5, and do not like the Tim Burton remake at all whatsoever. When it comes to this trilogy, I definitely love these 3. I think the ones I rank, I think Dawn is the best one. I saw that in the theaters twice. Rise, this is the film that got me introduced to the series. Saw that in theaters on Labor Day weekend with my dad. And he got this one, which I also saw in theaters, and it was good, but this but I feel like the title was very misleading. I do not think this film should be called War because there's not really a war that happens in the movie. Rest of the movie, like, I don't like the bit, and then of course Caesar gets captured, and almost the majority of the entire rest of the film just basically feels like Moses, kind of just feels like the story of Moses with apes, but it's still a pretty good film. Kingdom, I was not a fan of Kingdom, so I did not buy Kingdom. I don't own the other Mad Max movies, so here is Mad Max Fury Road. I saw this in the theaters twice. One of the best theater experiences of all time. And you got the two Top Gun films. Top Gun, like this one of Tom Cruise's best. But the sequel, on the other hand, Top Gun Maverick, is surprisingly a years late sequel that I actually find way better than the first one. Like, this is also another one of the best theater experiences yet. Like, for somebody who's just decently likes the first one, it's not one of my favorite films of all time. This one just wowed me away and just surprised me from start to finish. Like, I was a little worried for this one coming out because it's a little bit too late for a sequel to be made at that rate, but like, it was a perfect little tribute and farewell to Tony Scott, and it just really had me speechless. Definitely one of my favorite films watching that in the theater. Loved seeing that. You got the first three Bad Boys movies. You got Bad Boys 1 and Bad Boys 2. I think easily both these are the best ones. This one, Bad Boys for Life, is also pretty good. It's not really as funny or epic as Bad Boys 1 or 2, but still a pretty good third film nonetheless. And Bad Boys Ride or Die, I saw that. I did not like it, so I did not buy it. Sicario, another one of Dennis Villeneuve's best films. Easily. And one of Emily Blunt's best performances. You got all four of these I'm going to get out right now. So, this one, you got John Wick, the first one. This one I think is the best one. Then you have, it's almost fallen on me, John Wick Chapter 2. I'd say is probably my least favorite, but still a pretty good sequel. John Wick 3 Parabellum, definitely an improvement over John Wick Chapter 2, but it does suffer some kind of problems where John Wick kind of feels a little too immortal. At times, there's times when it kind of went a little overkill with some of the whole action scenes, but then you got my second favorite film of the series, John Wick Chapter 4. Yeah, and I know there's some people that really do not like this one, but personally, I still like this film. I think this is probably the best one of the series since the first one. I kind of like they actually went more story drive and didn't rely too much on the action stuff more, and kind of relied more on story like the first one did. And yeah, granted, there's some stuff I don't really like about it. Like, I don't like Chiron being killed off in the beginning. I think that was just a really stupid idea. I also did not the Scott Adkins fight scene. That got a little bit way too over the top at times. Especially when he yells, "Why won't you just die?" Yeah, fuck all that shit. But still like the rest of the film, man. Some are a little controversial about the ending. But I thought the ending was a good send-off for the character. Oh, I already showed the first Expendables in part 1, so I don't need to show it again. Shoot 'Em Up! An underrated action film that pretty much feels like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, but I'm surprised but not really a lot of people talk about this one, sadly. Alright, you got 3 Neville Dean Taylor films. I'll show this double feature one first. Crank 1, Crank 2 High Voltage, which I like both these films. I actually like Crank 2 a lot more. Crank 1's still pretty good, though, as you know, for my thoughts. And, of course, you have pretty much the badly received one, Gamer, which I actually am one of the few people that actually does like this film. There's still some things I don't like about the movie. Like, I don't like the over-reliance on sexuality. That definitely could be trimmed down, and stuff like the stuff with Gerald Butler, I think, is much better than the stuff with Logan Lerman, but still a pretty decent film. I guess if you kind of want to watch a somewhat remake of The Running Man. Got Quentin Tarantino's best movie of all time, Pulp Fiction, definitely a masterpiece of the 90s. You can never go wrong with Pulp Fiction. Got Speed, one of Keanu Reeves' best films, and definitely one of Reeves' and Sandra Bullock's best films, and definitely another one of the best action films of the 90s. Speed is definitely an action classic. And, there is no Speed 2. I do not own Speed 2, because it's awful. Why the fuck should I buy that movie? You got, look at this. The Die Hard collection. All 4 films. There was only 4 films of the series. Yeah, only 4 films. There was never a 5th movie. They did not make a 5. We do not talk about 5. There was only 4 movies in this series, but it's all 4 movies, which is Die Hard 1, Die Hard 2, Die Hard with a Vengeance, and Live Free or Die Hard, including the unrated version of it, which I think is the superior version to watch if you watch the 4th one. But yeah, I did live commentaries on Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 2. This summer, I'm going to do Die Hard with a Vengeance as live commentary around June. Then around July, on the 4th of July, I will be doing a commentary on Live Free or Die Hard, the unrated version. So yeah. I don't know the June date for Die Hard with a Vengeance, but the Live Free or Die Hard live commentary is going to be the 4th of July because that's a 4th of July movie. Alright. Okay, so I already showed the Rambo films, so we don't need to show those. But this next 2 I did not show in the last one, so we're going to show them. And these are the only 2 I love, so these are the only 2 that I own of this series. The Terminator, the first one. Definitely good little, nice little, good little slasher film. It's pretty much the only horror installment of the series. And then you got Terminator 2 Judgment Day, when this series became full-on action. Which I gotta say, I think this was definitely one of the first I think this was the first R-rated movie I saw as a kid, and I definitely always loved this one ever since. Terminator 2 Judgment Day, I think easily is the best one of the series, one of the best sequels of all time, and probably James Cameron's second best film behind Aliens. This one I equally give the same score as Terminator 2, but I think I just like Terminator 2 a little more, but Terminator 1's also a masterpiece. Start to finish, I kind of like the more horror tone of Terminator 1 as well. Alright, so that's that shelf. Time for the next shelf. So let's start with these box sets. I'll start with the good first, because the next one is full of bad films. 300. You got this whole little collector's edition that has pretty much this moving picture right here. That's this moving pic. Yeah, it's that moving little 3D picture. Has all these little character posters of all the characters from the movie. And, well, I'll just put this back. Then, of course, not only that, you also have this little booklet of here, which pretty much has all the discs, and you have all these little notes up behind the scenes from that, especially with this message from Zack Snyder. Yeah. Definitely one of Zack Snyder's best films. Love 300. And you got this shitfest right here. And you got these shitty movies. The Resident Evil Paul W.S. Anderson films. The ones I can tolerate are... Let's see. Let's rank these ones. The ones I tolerate... Resident Evil 1. The least bad. Resident Evil Extinction has some fun moments. Resident Evil Apocalypse is just mediocre. And so is Extinction, but Extinction I think I like better than Apocalypse because at least it does have some fun scenes, I'll admit that. Resident Evil Afterlife is a piece of shit. Resident Evil Retribution is an even worse piece of shit. And the even worser piece of shit, fuck Resident Evil, the final chapter. That one can just kiss my ass. That one I saw in the theaters, and at that rate, I was like, yeah, this fucking series is dead. Fuck. And then we had Welcome to Raccoon City, which I also did not like, so I did not buy it. And I have no faith in this next movie getting made actually being good, because we've had a bunch of shitty films in this series. So of course I'm not going to have hope. Alright. This next pile up. Can't show one of these, but here we go. Alright. No, actually, you know what? I'll just put these here. Alright. The next part is going to be Trick or Treat, one of my favorite horror anthologies of all time, and a Halloween classic. This is a little slip cover like I did for Annabelle Creation. You got this whole undead collection of several vampire movies, which is John Carpenter's Vampires, which is 30 Days a Night, the original Fright Nights, which is an absolute horror classic. I talk about 30 Days a Night. 30 Days a Night, very underrated vampire horror film. Bram Stoker's Dracula, one of the best vampire films ever. And then The Covenant, which I did not watch. But I've heard it is not a good film. Then you've got The Social Network, one of the best films of the 2010s, one of David Fincher's best films. Then one of Jesse Eisenberg and Andrew Garfield's best performances. Oh, well, you know what? I will. Oh, wait, no. They're all from the same shelf, but I'll save that next one for when I get to that franchise. A Christmas Story Christmas. This one was also quite a surprising legacy sequel. Honestly, to me, this is what Home Sweet Home Alone should have been. I still haven't unwrapped it yet, though. Oh, I found Furious 7. Furious 7, to me, the true end of the Fast and Furious movies. But no, as you know, they had to go overboard and make more fucking characters. The Rush Hour 3 film collection. I haven't really watched any of these movies yet. Dawn of the Dead, another one of the few rare great remakes that's just almost as great as the original. I know George A. Romero did not like this film, but this was a great start to Zack Snyder's career. The Night of the Living Dead, another great remake, this time from Tom Savini. You got the Teen Wolf double feature, but I only bought this for Teen Wolf 1. Teen Wolf 1 is one of Michael J. Fox's best films. Easily. Then you got... No, not the Saw Spiral. A different Spiral. One of the first films done by Adam Green. Spiral. It's just there. Really. Just kind of Adam Green's first film, that's about it. Used double feature of Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, two very funny comedies. Some of the best comedies of all time, and both of these are Simon Pegg's best films. Shaun of the Dead especially. Donnie Darko. Still haven't watched it yet. Meaning to. You got, okay, so I bought one of these for Predators, but I'll get out these two anyway. So, you got Predator 1, Predator 2, and this is the Predator triple feature collection, but I bought this for Predators from 2010. I do not own the 2018 film or Prey because I despise both those films. I especially despise the Shane Black one the most. That's easily the worst Predator film, but not counting the AVP films. But when it comes to the first three movies, I think Predator 1 is the best. This one, I know this isn't quite a fan favorite with a lot of people, but it's just good for me. I mean, I don't really like the Predator becoming some kind of alien Punisher that really only kills scumbags and stuff. I like this one better because he's more of a straight up villain here. The guys had weapons in this one, but this one, the Predator felt more like a villain. He actually felt like an antagonist. This one, he kind of just feels too much like a hero, and when he's killing, when it comes to the death scenes, because the characters he kills are all scumbag people, I'm like, is the Predator really this bad of a guy if he's killing all these criminals? Really? Should he really be considered a villain? I mean, the only time the Predator becomes a villain is when he meets Danny Glover's character, who's definitely the best part of the film. And I especially do love the fight him and the Predator have at the end of the movie. Now, that definitely is the most epic part of the film. I bought this to review these movies, and fuck Victor Salva. Enough said. Fuck that dude. And people are still waiting for me to review Jeepers Creepers 3 and Jeepers Creepers Reborn and tear their asses apart. That's not going to happen until likely October, but it will happen eventually. Trust me. The original Muppet movie, a family classic, and definitely the best Muppet film. Gotta love the Muppets. I'd say that and Muppet Christmas Carol are the best ones. I had the Christmas movies in a box. This steaming pile of shit, Catwoman. Still need to rant on that movie. Mamma Mia the movie. Not alright musical. Definitely not bad for what it was. Was not really a big fan of the sequel. Well, you got the single copy of Sin City, but I already showed that when I showed the Crow double feature, which it came with. Alright. Now we're on to some more comic book films. For the last pile of this whole parts. That one at the top can be saved for when I find it. Find the other movies of the franchise. Alright, so the first ones I'm showing are two very underrated films, the most underrated comic films of all time. Hellboy 1, the first of the Guillermo del Toro films with Ron Perlman. Definitely an underrated, probably a very underrated non-Marvel or non-DC comic book film. I definitely love the first one. But the one I easily love the most, I think, is the superior film, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. This is easily my favorite This is probably my favorite Guillermo del Toro film. It's also probably my favorite comic book film that's not from either Marvel or DC. Yeah, I love both these films. And of course, I do not have the 2019 film because I think the 2019 film was a piece of dog shit. And now you've got the DCEU collection. I have, well, not all of it, but there's one I have on Blu-ray right here. So I'll get the Blu-ray out for this one. I'm going to show these in chronological order that they were released. Alright. I have another... Okay, where is... Oh, here's... Actually, no, I have two on Blu-ray. Two of these on Blu-ray. So, obviously, let's start with the first one they did. Man of Steel. And yes, I do like this movie. This is actually one of... It's not my favorite Superman film. It's one of my favorite Superman films. My favorite Superman film is still the 1978 original film. Don't worry, guys. Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition, aka the version that's actually good, not the crappy theatrical cut. The theatrical cut is definitely stupid. I can agree with people on that. The Ultimate Edition is way better. That's because Warner Bros. Like to fuck with stuff. Suicide Squad 2016. Oh yeah, I gave that away. I gave that movie away because I don't like it. Wonder Woman 2017, easily the DCU's best film. You got, Joss Whedon Justice League. I also don't own that because I hate it, so I'm not buying it. I already have a better version of Justice League I'll get to in a bit, and I also did not buy Aquaman because I also did not like that film. I'm only having the DCU films that I don't have every DCU film. Shazam, another one of the best DCU films. This film was also a very big surprise. Like when I saw the trailers for this film, like they just got played to death to the point where I was not really excited for the movie anymore because I got annoyed at seeing the trailers. Almost every movie I went to kept playing the trailers for that movie. But I ended up seeing the movie and I ended up really liking it. And I got Birds of Prey, like this the first time I saw it, but I've really gone on to not like it. It has not aged well. This one, Wonder Woman 1984, which I didn't mind the first time either, but it's kind of starting to sour on me a little bit as well. And then you got the actually good version of Justice League. The Zack Snyder version of Justice League, aka the actually good version. The proper version. It took 4 years, but that cut finally got released. And then you got James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. I saw this in the theaters twice, and I definitely also really loved it. I hate the beginning bit where a lot of the characters get killed off, but I like the rest of the film. This film was quite hilarious. They got Black Adam, bought this to complete the collection. I have not rewatched it yet. Might be a while before I do so, though. Then you got the last DCU film I own, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I saw this in theaters, and I didn't think it was really as bad as people made it out to be. Was it as good or funny as the first one? No, not really, but it was still pretty enjoyable, funny nonetheless. Still some things to like about it. And yeah, those are the only DCU films I own. Did not buy The Flash. Because that film is an abomination. Did not go near Blue Beetle. And I did not go near Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom because I did not want to support Amber Heard. Alright, now that that's done, we got to the non-DCU DC films. Joker! I saw this in I think I saw this in theaters 3 times. Definitely, easily the best film of 2019, and easily one of the best films of the 2010s nonetheless, and probably, definitely Todd Phillips' best film. And he's one of the best Joker portrayals. Like, Joaquin Phoenix gives such a great portrayal of the character in this one. I absolutely loved the first Joker. And I saw the sequel in theaters, and I hated it so fucking much that I will not buy that movie. As I do not want to rewatch that film ever again. That film was fucking awful. Then you got the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. You got Batman Begins. This was actually the first DC film I saw in the theaters. And I was about 6 when I saw this in theaters. It's also the first Batman film I saw in the theaters. I definitely like that one. However, the one that's definitely the most superior, which I agree with everybody, The Dark Knight, which easily to me is the best Batman movie yet. This is definitely easily the best portrayal of the Joker. It's one of the best films of all time. It's easily the best superhero movie of all time. Like, nothing will ever dethrone The Dark Knight. You can never dethrone this movie. And I still absolutely love Heath Ledger's Joker to this day. And it's sad he died before the premiere could come out. May he rest in peace. I'm glad his career went out on a high note with that film. And then you got the third one, Dark Knight Rises, which is honestly my least favorite film of the series. And there's some things that do kind of really bug me about that film. Like, some of the characters, some of the citizens of Gotham are pretty stupid as hell in that film. And there's some pretty stupid things about the film, like the stock market and Bane's plot and stuff, and Talia's death scene also. But it's an alright end to the trilogy, I gotta say. But it wasn't that bad of a film, I think. But yeah, my least favorite though, I think one of the problems it had was originally Heath Ledger's Joker was going to be the antagonist of the whole trilogy, and he was still going to be in the film, but sadly he had died before they could even start writing his scenes for the third one, so that did really hurt the film a lot. And some Chris Nolan didn't really just kind of stopped really caring about his version of Batman, didn't really want to make the film, but he knew he kind of had to, because he knew another director would kind of fuck up his vision, so he kind of had to come back. He didn't have a choice. So I think there's a lot of stuff that did kind of hurt some stuff about that movie. You got easily the most underrated DC film of all time and the most underrated Zack Snyder film of all time, Watchmen, the director's cut. I also love this movie a lot. And it's honestly surprisingly one of the most graphic comic movies of all time. And one of the darkest films yet. Then you got V for Vendetta, another underrated DC film. Like, yeah, it kind of in a way is a DC film, because it's kind of based off a DC character, but it's also a very underrated masterpiece. And one of Hugo Weaving and Natalie Portman's best films combined. Oh, I still haven't bought the original Superman movie yet, but I need to, because, we got that new Superman movie coming out in July, and around June, I do plan to review all the other Superman films, like, not Man of Steel. I already reviewed that film when I was doing the DCU review series, or the Justice League films, because I already reviewed those, but I'm talking about the first 4 Christopher Reeve films, and 2006's Superman Returns. Those films I'm going to review in June before the new Superman film with James Gunn comes out, so I'll finally be doing my Superman review series before that movie releases, but the Superman movie I love is Superman 1978. That's still my favorite Superman movie of all time. Christopher Reeve is still the best Superman of all time. May he rest in peace. But now for the ones I do own. Superman 2, the Richard Donner cut. I think this is easily the best version of the film. Honestly, like the original cut's still good, but that's not as like memorable as Superman 1. This one I think is much better. And now I almost put the one I was supposed to show away. Superman Returns. And honestly, I'm going to be honest when I say this. I actually do like this movie. And almost everybody calls this is one of the worst Superman movies of all time. This movie's fucking garbage. This film is an utter dumpster fire. This film is an insult to the character. No, I don't think that. Does the movie have problems? Like, yeah. For one, like, the movie definitely didn't need to be 154 minutes long. A lot of stuff could have been trimmed down. And there's not really a lot of Superman action in the movie. But I still think it's the most underrated Superman film of all time. And technically, to be fair, it's still kind of somewhat of a Christopher Reeve film because even though the characters are played by different actors, the actors actually do well in acting like the original Richard Donner film counterparts. Like Brandon Routh technically kind of has to act like Christopher Reeve because he's still the Christopher Reeve Superman. And it's also a good little farewell to Christopher Reeve because he had sadly passed away a few months after the movie had come out. And also, what's even sadder, now Gene Hackman has passed away. The best Lex Luthor of all time has now just passed away a few weeks ago. Him and his wife. May both of them also rest in peace. Alright, now this one I was not showing for a while can be shown because I am now getting to this series. So, well, alright, I'll get the Blu-ray for 3 of these out. I have 3 of these on Blu-ray. So, oops, oh no, I got it. Alright. But getting to the series, but let's just show these first 2 movies of not part of that series first. Blade, the original movie, easily by far one of Marvel's best films. Blade kicks ass. And it's my favorite Blade film. Yeah, it's my favorite Blade film. I know everyone's favorite is Blade 2, but Blade 2 is good, but honestly, I think I like I kind of like Blade 1 better because it kind of balances evenly the good horror tone and the action tone. And I think I kind of like the more horror tone of the character better. To be honest, I think the first one kind of did better with the horror tone. Blade 2 is kind of more of the action movie, really. Like, Blade 1 was an action film, but that one had a lot of horror elements. Like, Blade 2 is more strictly action. And Blade 1 even felt gorier. Blade 1 felt more brutal. And a little more faithful to the tone of the comics. So, I like Blade. So, I think I'm one of the few that likes Blade 1 a lot better. You got the X-Men 4-movie collection, which is the original from 2000, X2 X-Men United, X-Men The Last Stand, X-Men First Class. Yeah, and I have X-Men Origins here somewhere, but I don't want to show that film. I think X-Men Origins sucks ass. But X-Men 2000, definitely a good way to start off the series. However, X-Men United, I think is easily the best X-Men film yet. Then you have X-Men The Last Stand, which is a bit of a disappointment. X-Men First Class, probably the only one of the prequels I will admit I actually do love. And you got, then of course, because this one comes before Future Past, the Wolverine, the theatrical version, the 2013 movie. It's better than X-Men Origins, but it's not really just that great or memorable. It's an improvement, but it's just not really that great. X-Men Days of Future Past, I know everybody really loves this film. I like the movie, but I don't really think this movie's really as great as people really do like to make this one out to be. That's just me, though. One of the few that does think that. I think the only reason why it's considered the best one is because it kind of erases the ones nobody likes. I do like that it erases Origins Wolverine, but I don't think Last Stand really should have been erased that much. I mean, now you have Deadpool, the original Deadpool. I absolutely love this. Is easily a hilarious as fuck film. I saw this in the theaters twice on my last year of high school. Absolutely gotta love this film. This is definitely glad we finally got the true version of the character after that shitty Origins version. Like that Ryan Reynolds finally battled studios to get this version made. Deadpool is hilarious as hell from start to finish. And then, then of course, you've got, oh wait, no, I'm showing the wrong one, shit. Alright. Then you got 2017's Logan. Honestly, chronological order, this is honestly, the end of the Fox, somewhat the end of the X-Men series. I mean, there's one that is technically also the end, but it's more the end of the Fox Marvel version of certain characters. This one is the end to the X-Men franchise. Chronological order, but this is definitely the best X-Men film, no doubt. Logan. Now we can show these next two. You got Deadpool 2. It's not as good as Deadpool 1, but it's also still a really great film. I actually also saw this in the theaters twice. Even just as hilarious as the first one. Alright, now that I've put that back, Dark Phoenix, do not own for good reason. The New Mutants, do not own for good reason. But the one I definitely do own, Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, I know. I remember when I thought this film was going to be terrible. Right there, back when I thought this film was not going to be great. But then I heard many pals of mine loved the film, so I went to see the film. And guess what? I loved it that much. I saw it in theaters 2 more times. This was definitely one of the biggest surprises of 2024. And also, it also is kind of the end of the Fox era stuff. And do I think we need a sequel to this film? No, not really. Because technically, to be fair, I felt this film was a good way to end Deadpool's story. And in a way, now Laura can now pretty much have her dad back as this version of the character. Because technically, to be fair, Logan's from an alternate timeline, and the Logan that died is from that timeline. This Logan is from a different timeline. So they didn't retcon Logan really too much. They still acknowledge that Wolverine died in that timeline. However, at first, I didn't really like the opening scene where Deadpool goes to Logan's grave and kind of vandalizes it in the fight scene in a way. I definitely did not like that part, but the rest of the film I did decently like. Did decently like the rest of it. So, okay, you know what? I need to make space for this, so I'm afraid... Actually, no. Days of Future Past, you can go to the back. I gotta make space for Deadpool Wolverine to go back with the first Deadpool film where it rightfully belongs. But yeah. So, that's gonna be it for part 3, guys. I'm gonna film part 4 later on tonight. Thank you all for watching part 3, and I'll see you in part 4.